We're going to do the talk together, but I'm going to do the first part. Dennis will leave the stage for now, but he's going to come for the good demo. Pray for the demo gods, because he's going to need it. OK, I would love to say one thing. It's not fully introducing ourselves. We already got the pretty nice introduction, but we did a pretty talks in the past on the DevFest. This is actually our 4th talk on the DevFest, so we would love to thank you, DevFest community, to give us opportunity for past 4 years to talk together on a stage. We love that, and I hope we're going to do that for the next couple of years again. Our agenda for today, I'm going to introduce you what is Genkit and what's going to help you a little bit, and what the tools are in a Genkit to get your AI up to the next level. And at the end, Dan is going to come to the stage, and he's going to do the Git demo. He's going to pray for the demo gods. We have the demo already deployed, so please scan the QR and use as you want. We have the 2 light strips over there. So the AI is actually controlling those light strips. And there is another input where you can ask the question. So if I will not tell you anything about Genkit, you can actually ask the AI about it. I'm going to start with the quick, what is Genkit? But before I do that, I would love to introduce you to the Firebase. So Firebase is a development so it is backend as a service. It's pretty much have lots of services out there that you can use for your app, and you don't have to worry about infrastructure. You don't have to worry about scaling and lots of other things. And then all the configuration of the cloud that is usually pretty complex. It already have lots of services. It started as a real-time database. Nowadays, it's much more. It's a cloud function, which is the backend. There is a Firestore or real-time database. Those are the 2 databases in a Firebase. And of course, it joined on the AI trend, and it have AI these days. It also have some tracking, so it have logs like a Crashlytics, or it have remote config. By the way, the DevFest app that is running on this conference is also powered by the Firebase. Firebase team did a great job when they started thinking about AI. So AI, all the complex tools out there, like LangChain and etc., those are pretty complex. You have to get some extra knowledge to get those running, to configure it yourself, and that's not ideal for every developer out there. The Firebase team always love to introduce new things to the app developers and follow their experience so they can use it and pretty much join their daily routine and don't break anything. So they looked on the average developer and they followed their experience. They also looked what are their existing tools and practices, and instead of replacing those, they pretty much followed it again. And then they embrace the code should be the primary artifact of your app. And that's where the Genkit was born. Genkit is actually, that's where I will end a bit, the connection between the Firebase and the Genkit. It's not actually just a Firebase product. You can use it as a library in your any Node.js or Python, and I will tell later. But you can use it as a library in your backend already, and it will help you to build your AI-powered experiences out there without any need, and you don't need actually the Firebase there. They look this emerging LLM stacks. This is everything that you need if you want to do it yourself. Lots of complex things, lots of the caching states, lots of the, I don't know, like playgrounds, databases, lots of the things that are kind of hard for average developer out there to manage and do it yourself. That's why the Firebase had a huge success, because you don't have to worry about those things on a Firebase. I want database, I have a Firebase. I want authentication, I have a Firebase. I need this, I have a Firebase. That's the same with the Genkit. I need these couple of things, and I have a Genkit. So they pretty much looked where the business logic is in this large language model or AI stack, and they look on the specific parts of it and just use those and pretty much introduce those to the developer. Everything else they are doing themselves. If you're going to do the calling of the large language models in your apps yourself, and you're choosing between the GPT or the Gemini or the Claude or the Llama, of course, other models are out there, but I chose the 4 that I like, and I think they're the most popular. Each of those have different type of libraries, have different type of calls. So if you want to switch between those models, or you want to like mix those in your app, it kind of can be complex. You have to do some abstraction and stuff like that. That's where the Genkit comes in. So it's as I already said, it's a library. It's actually open source library. That's one thing that is awesome on it, that the community maintains it. From the first day, there is always, of course, Google models, but as it goes, every other model that is being released usually comes in as a new PR. They add it as a new plugin. It has unified API on all of those models. So on one line, I can switch between, I don't know, ChatGPT and Gemini, and I don't have to switch anything else. I don't have to switch the prompt. I don't have to switch what are the schemas. I don't have to switch the tool calling, et cetera, et cetera. I just switch one line. I want to use ChatGPT plugin. It already also have the built-in tools around this. So if you want to debug it, log it, or track some things and pretty much improve your AI app experience, all of this Genkit has. And it's coming right now as a Node.js and Go library. Python is right now in a beta, but it's coming down the pipeline. Starting that is it's not complex. You don't have to register anywhere there. It's just a library. So we pretty much install it. We have demos in the Node.js, but you can imagine in the Go and Python, it's pretty similar. So you install it locally as a CLI. You also install it to your Node.js project. And the great thing on the CLI, they also have local dashboard. You don't have to have some registered dashboard somewhere in the cloud. You can locally debug that whole AI flow and look on the traces and stuff like that Genkit is helping you with. This is the very simple example. The examples that we're going to have later are more complex. This is the most simplest one that we can show you. So this one is using Google Gemini models. As you can see, it's joined as a plugin. We are choosing the Gemini 2.0 Flash as a model. Again, those 2 lines, I would love to use, for example, ChatGPT. So I'm going to switch just 2. And in the main function run, we just run AI generate with the simplest prompt, and we wait for the response. This is very simple example, but you can see where I'm coming. Around this, we have the Genkit tools. So we have the simplest application. We get the prompt there, and we are getting a response. Of course, it doesn't work for every app, and you need more around this. So I have 2 parts of the Genkit tools. One is before you deploy, and second one is after you deploy. Before you deploy, I would love you to think of the one thing that is a part of Genkit. It's called flow. It's like building block of your AI functionalities. It's a representation of the linked logic that you have in your AI experience. It holds all the pre-processing and post-processing. It connects all the tools or the rec and other stuff that you need in your flow, in your like AI experience to pretty much make it up to pretty much make you as you want. And it also can hold the communication between other models between those. So flow is the main building functionality of the Genkit. Of course, as we know, we talk with the large language models with the prompts. So prompts are still here, but how we are working with those. As I mentioned earlier, Firebase team likes to work with the prompts as a code, they really wants to help you because you are a developer. You don't want to manage complex strings. You don't want to do stuff around this. So as I showed you before, this is the simplest thing. We put the text there, but of course later having something like this in a code, probably in more complex scenarios, would not be ideal, and we would be sitting as this dog and pretty much burning ourselves. So there is something called schema. Schema is something that you are pretty much enforcing some structure on top of your flow. You can say what's going to be your input and what's going to be your output. So you can enforce some type checks. You can enforce some type safety around the models. And it pretty much eliminates all the messy prompt strings that you are joining to the that you are adding to the AI. It also supports the dot prompt format. That's a very common format for the new type of engineers. It's called prompt engineers. So you can pretty much manage prompt outside in a specific format. Then it's going to show you how the dot prompt is going to looks like. You have it later in a demo. But you can see where it's coming. You don't have to worry that much what's coming outside of the LLM and what's coming inside. You can enforce what every developer out there likes. It's a type safety. Another thing that we have, and of course you see it around me, it's a tool calling. So right now, LLMs are, of course, not connected to the real world. They don't know if there is any light strip out here. They don't know what's happening on the DevFest. They've been learned on some data, of course. We want to join them to the real world that is happening out there. And it's called tool calling. Tool calling means that I can give LLM some tool, of course. I can give him some tool, and he can call database. He can call API. He can call this light strip, and he can turn it on. Actually, that's what's happening in our demo. The AI is calling via tool this light strips, and it's turning it on. And the model decides itself when the tool is needed or not. But you can pretty much have multiple tools joining in the flow, and one of them can be light strip, one of them can be heater, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see it's connected to your real AI, real world, and you are giving the AI the capabilities to be connected. Another thing that you're going to need probably is the RAG. RAG is like a second brain for LLM. So I would love to give the LLM extra knowledge to pretty much improve its accuracy. As we know, a lot of the large language models nowadays, they tend to hallucinate. I ask them something, and they kind of like think this is the right answer. Of course, in case of a largest model, they pretty much take long to answer, but they usually tend to answer correctly. But sometimes they don't know the real data or your extra knowledge. So I can give the LLM my second brain, my internal knowledge, and he can improve himself, reduce the hallucination and the wrong answer, and it improves the accuracy of the AI experience. In this case, we have we connected the flow to the Firestore, which is one of the Firebase products. We connected to the actual database that is running in the Firebase, and it's looking into docs in the individual data that is in the database, and is looking if there is something that he can learn from and respond you with. That's all that is before the deploy. So now we are going for the actual deploying. After deploying, great thing that Genkit provides is the evaluation. So evaluation in a dashboard, what you can do is you can look what the Genkit is answering in every answer, and you can tweak that. You can give it a few metrics, and you can track those and look if it's improving over the time as you are getting PRs there, getting extra changes, or if it's, for example, broken. Some developers do PRs, and you can check the CI if the PR somehow like reduced accuracy of the response or not. This is something that Genkit is providing, and it's one of the tools that it has. And right now, I would love to give warm welcome to my colleague Denis. He's going to talk about more after the deployment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dominik. OK, so hello, everyone. And let's continue from Dominik's great start to see actually what happens when you do all the great work and want to see the results, and what are people actually doing it with it. So for the observability, Genkit has great integrated dashboards when you deploy and use the monitoring, Genkit Monitoring. Here you can see actually my production slide from all the flows that we have deployed, how many runs were there, success rate, and the latency. Because you want to actually make sure that you are doing the correct stuff before you run like 100,000 million tokens through the Gemini API. Here is the detail for one of the flows. You see also the token distribution, if it's like input tokens, output, or if it's thinking tokens, because you can quickly verify that it's actually being spent the correct way, that people are not just sending random input and getting nothing out of it, that you are actually using the model correctly. And what is great about this also is that this is built on top of Google Cloud Monitoring. So if you are not happy with these results, you can always take the API that is production ready again from the Google Cloud team and build your own dashboards and your own tools. Fun fact, in the morning, we actually noticed that in the DevFest app, the latency was too high for the AI functions. So we just configured one line in Genkit, reduced the thinking budgets, and you can see how quickly it went down. So this is a real-life use case from just today. Genkit has also many options how you can deploy it. Since it's Firebase product, of course, the preferred version is to deploy to Firebase. Firebase callable functions have many integrated helpers for the authentication, for the easier app integration, and even app check to verify that the requests are actually coming from your app and not from just a random third party that is trying to use your Gemini API key. If you want to get away from Firebase, you can deploy it to Cloud Run, where you can basically scale to infinity and deploy any container that you want. Or if you already have your own server, you can just run it as an Express app on your local machine or in your preferred cloud provider. For the pricing, I'm sure you wonder, how much will this cost? Basically nothing. It doesn't have to cost you anything if you set it up correctly or in the way that you want. Google is coming into this with the mind, we are building this around Firebase. People will probably use some Firebase resources. We are already making money from that. There is no built-in pricing to Genkit. It's only on the building on top of the tools that you already use, like, for example, the cloud tracing and cloud monitoring, which has some pricing around it, but it's negligible to the cost of the actual AI models calls. So you don't have to worry about it that much. OK, if you didn't catch it at the beginning, here is the link for the live demo again. And let's look into the code. Let me just configure it here. Cool. So this is the actual project. First few lines, I hope you can see it well. First few lines, it's just the Genkit setup. We are just initiating the Google AI model and the project ID. Then we move into the rack. What is important around this, we need to somehow make the content into something the model understands. So first, we take the whole Genkit documentation and actually scrape it. Genkit also supports like the LLMs.txt format that is kind of running around the internet right now to have the documentation ready for the models, because the Markdown is much more efficient than like scraping the HTML and trying to make sense of it. So here you can see the flow in the code for the indexing. We start by getting the URL, so just downloading the content. Then we chunk it. Chunking means that we take the whole piece of text and we separate it into meaningful parts with some kind of overlap, so the model can have the small paragraphs and actually return the meaningful piece of text that is viable for the question. We just delete the existing documents just to make the room for them, and then we index it to Firestore. Once again, we are using Firestore, Firebase. Firestore is NoSQL database from Firebase that works on collections and documents. So we save the part of the documentation in each document. And that's it. I will show you later in the DevTools how you can actually see it. Here you also can see another short definition of a flow. This flow uses the .prompt format. And here you can see how it looks. First, we have some config part, which is just defining the schema, the model that we are using, the version, the temperature, nothing super important. And here we have the longer prompt. This isn't that bad, but imagine you have long prompts with examples, and it's really hard to see that in the code. So here we have clear definition. You can easily share this paragraph, and you don't have to say, hey, to somebody who doesn't need to understand the code. You can just send them this, and they will probably make sense of it. So we are using that prompt, and we are just sending the text there. And this is a quick, hey, is this input OK? Because live demos, I'm sure some of you have tried submitting something that is kind of questionable as a question. And if not, some of you will do it after I told you now. Here is the question flow itself. So once again, it checks if the input is in a violation of the moderation. If not, it will retrieve the relevant documents. So it will ask the Firestore to retrieve the embeddings, because Firestore can actually work as an embedding database, which is really nice. So we get the top 3 documents, and then we send them along to the model to actually generate the relevant query, and we just return the text. Here you can see we have input the query and output the answer, and Genkit will also make sure that the query matches our parameters. So if you submit a really long question, it's probably not a question that we want or that we can answer, and it will throw an error. So here we even have safe parsing enabled by default. For the tools, a lot of the stuff is similar. So we have input schema. We also have description of the tool for the model. And here is just some simple magic to control the LED lights. For the state tool, we can also just say for the model that we want an enum value either on or off, do not send anything else. And once again, Genkit will make sure that the model gets the correct instructions for it to work. And then it's as simple as just sending the tools straight to the model, and it will make sense of it. No need to do anything else. And these few lines are just the deployment to the Firebase Cloud Functions. And we can even introduce some out policies to make sure, for example, that user has verified email, or that they do have certain claims to ask the questions, and so on. And that will be 2 lines of code. What is great about Genkit, again, is the integrated developer tools, which I'm not sure which are running here, hopefully. And so let's switch to that. I need to exit this. So here are the dev tools. So this is the most complicated flow that we have. It's for the indexing. Here is the list of the flows. So if we go into the index Genkit flow, once again, you can see that you have auto-completion for the whole parameters for the whole input, which is great if you are just going to the code and back and editing. You don't have to type it again and again and again. You can just see it straight in the UI, and all your history as well. So because this will take a minute, I'm going to show you the previous iteration of this. And here you can see the whole flow as it goes. As you saw at the beginning, it was separated by like the spans. So here we have one for the text extraction, then the chunker, then the deletion of the documents, and then index to Firestore. We can see how each of the steps looked, if there were any errors, how long it took. So you can also debug, like, why is this taking so long? What is happening? And what are the each parts doing? It's better seen at the change color flow. So let's run that. OK, let's refresh and then let's run that again. So the color is changed to red. And on the right side, I can see, OK, so first, it went with the model and called the change color tool with the hex. So it automatically also converted like the red to the color hex code. So that's the tool call. Then it took that and did the actual tool call, took the output of that, and made the exact call to the model, and it returned the output. We can also like see it rendered, or we can look at the raw JSON if you have some details that you need there. It also enables you to look at the prompts and test the prompts right away. So you can run this at your like dev server and have your prompt engineers to test here and or input or edit it and then export the .prompt as a file that you can use later on. We also have the overview of the embedders, retrievers, and all the models. You can override the model that you want to use for basically every part. So we can just select a different model and use even some specific versions or use different config parameters to see how our prompts and how our flows will behave. The whole trace store is separated by like your local environment, which is saved locally on your computer. But as soon as you deploy it, you see it in the monitoring, you see it live. OK, let's switch to the monitoring, and let's actually see if the usage is already there from what we have seen. And here you can see if I switch it to just today. Here we have the number of requests, the success rate, which unfortunately wasn't 100%. We are sorry. That wasn't production ready of us. And if we look at the change color flow, so we have like, we changed it already like over 100 times. Unfortunately, we also see, OK, it fails. It's some variation, so we can look at the exact trace. We have the success rate, the latency, and we have all the examples of the queries you send in the meantime. So this is great. After you deploy it, how can I look? OK, so it probably doesn't do the Morse code in red. I'm sorry. That's beyond the expectation of this talk. Same with the rainbow. Actually, it has rainbow effects. But once again, it wasn't coded on. I think I now know that you want to make it rainbow, and I can add it later on because I have the necessary tools to monitor it and to get the actionable results from it. OK. And let's see how many tokens have we consumed. So this is about 60, let's put it around 80,000 tokens. So we have managed to burn a few cents. Very good job. And we can also go like to the AI Studio to see the actual billing, because since this counts the tokens, it doesn't really cannot do like the whole converting the tokens to the actionable cost. If you are using Google, it could be done. But since you can use whatever models and providers you want, it's really hard to do that. OK, let's go to the slides. And I think we now have a lot of room for questions. And here's also the QR code for the feedback. I hope I did not skip anything important. Thank you so much. Where is Dominik?
Slido up on the screen, just very ahead of the game, super stuff. Is there another microphone up there? Or you've got? OK, I'll grab another one just in case there are questions from the floor as well. Questions, ladies and gents, for these two awesome humans. Yeah, Thomas, thanks. Da, da, da. You can either write or you can take a mic. You were looking at me. I thought, you've got a question. Yes? No? No? Damn it. All right. Front row. It's always the pressure of sitting in the front row. It's like, he's going to come to us, isn't he? It's like massively avoiding eye contact with me.
Hi. Did you build something in production with Genkit, and what?
Yeah. So when I showed you the slide with like the millions of calls, that's actually what we use in production. And yeah, okay, it's not already there, but the slide with like the millions of calls and all the flows, we are using Genkit, both me and Dominik, basically in all our AI projects, and even in the DevFest app, as you have heard.
Super cool. There's one that's come up. Is it possible to create agents with Genkit?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Once again, Google cannot do one thing only once. So it has at least like 2, and in most cases 3 things to do one of the things. So there is like ADK to develop like more complicated agents. But if you want to do something that is not super complicated, I would say Genkit is definitely a viable way to build an AI agent.
Yeah, some of the tools that are inside, like some of the companies are not doing what others are doing. So this is usually not coming to the Genkit by default, because it's really hard to support everything that every company does. But when it's like, when there's a standard, usually Genkit supports that.
What do you call not super complicated? What do you call, when you said if it's not doing things that are super complicated, but what is super complicated?
Like, if you are building something that has like 10 people, that has been building by 10 people and is doing like, if you have to spend millions on it, you probably don't want to do it with Genkit. Let's put it that way. But if you want something that, for example, Genkit can do like human-in-the-loop approvals. So you can like interrupt the flows with, like, for example, buying a flight ticket. You don't want to do that purely automatically. You want at least the confirmation. So you can do that with Genkit. You can ask for the human input for the confirmation. And like we showed you tool calling. It has like stream abilities. It has the live mode capabilities. So you can basically do everything. It's just, it was built before the agents kind of took off, so it had to add those capabilities later on, and didn't have it it wasn't built for it from the day one.
Yeah, and I also want to add to that Firebase is by default targeting a lot of the indie developers and the small teams, so they can like grow pretty quickly. So this is where the Genkit mind's also coming, that you don't want to like spend millions of dollars on really complex tools. You want to just add one simple AI experience to your app, and this is where Genkit is coming. It's going to help you there. But of course, if you have millions of dollars and you can do much more, maybe Genkit is not for you. But if you are an indie developer or small company and you are growing on top of the Firebase or anything else, Genkit can help you at the start for sure.
I would love to add to that also Genkit is built by kind of small team, but the team is very active. So if you have some kind of problem or want a feature, since it's open source, you can go to the Discord and you can just ask them and they will reply to you, which is a nice thing to hear from like a big company like Google, that you can actually talk directly to the people who are building the tool.
Super nice. Can Genkit help with local-only features or models?
Yeah. Do you want to go for that?
Yeah. It supports that. You can also work with the local only. It's not that straightforward as we showcase, but there is a way to do it. That's a simple answer to that. I haven't done that, honestly. I don't know if Dennis did that.
Once again, it's open source. Like for the major, like if you want to run Ollama locally, there is a wrapper for that, definitely for sure. And if there is not a wrapper, you can quickly build it yourself and just use it as a library for Genkit. But for the major, the well-known ones, I'm sure there is already a tool that provides it.
Cool. Any more for any more?
I was also checking the questions you asked the model, but you didn't really use that feature. So unfortunately, it cannot answer like what's the meaning of life. The answer is that's not provided in Genkit documentation.
42,
so
obviously.
maybe next year it will be there. Who knows?
All right. What else is burning on your minds that you desperately need to know before you leave this room? Nothing. You know everything. You feel fully informed. How awesome is that? You've fully informed everybody. This is all they need to know. Cool. In that case, any more?
You good?
You good? All right. Thank you, Dennis and Dominik.
Thank you so much.